I had done a video on mass shootings last week and it went over pretty well. And I decided I'm going to try and do regular videos on mass shootings just to keep people updated on stuff, like a kind of mass shootings 101, the master class of mass shootings, so to speak, although I'm no professor at it, but just a video that will help people learn more about what's going on with the mass shootings. And every time I do one, I'll try and focus on a different area or a different part of the mass shootings that you might be interested in hearing about. And this one's going to be on streaks, like consecutive days streaks of how many we have and how long we go without not having one in some cases. But first I have to start off by saying that last week I had said that we would hit 325 mass shootings for the year by the 22nd, and if not the 22nd, then by the 23rd. And I was wrong. There were no mass shootings on the 22nd or the 23rd, and we hit it on the 24th. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that I threw that guess in. It was kind of a guess, and it should have hit on those days, but we went on a 2-day streak of no mass shootings, which doesn't happen very often and hasn't happened very much this month for sure. And so I just wanted to point that out, that I was wrong. I missed it by a day, but, so be it. But that ended a 9-day consecutive streak that had run from June 13th to the 21st. And that was the third worst one that we've had. The second longest streak that we had, that was from June 2nd to June 11th. And that one ran for 10 days. So far this month, there's only been 4 days that we have not had a mass shooting. The 1st, the 12th, the 22nd, and the 23rd. So for the majority of June, every day has had one. And the longest streak this year that we had was from April 1st to April 18th. That was an 18-day streak. And I looked because I was curious, because 18 sounds like a lot of days. For a month that has 30 days. To have an 18-day streak in a month with 30 days, that sounded long to me. So I looked to see what we had last year, just for a comparison, and see, if we're doing better or worse. And last year, the longest streak was 16 days. And that ran from June 29th to July 14th. So the longest streak last year ran through the peak summer months, June and early July. Well, late June and early July. And that makes more sense. We had the 18-day streak in April, which shouldn't be a month that you're having an 18-day streak like that. It's June, July, August, sure, September, but we shouldn't in April, which doesn't bode well for things going forward. But last year they did have, so we've had the three that I listed, the 9-day, the 10-day, and this 18-day one, those are the 3 longest we've had this year. Last year, the longest was only 16, but there were 5 streaks that went over 10 days. There was a 12-day in March, 11-day in May, 10 days in May to June, and then the June-July one that we just talked about, that was 16 days, and then that wasn't included in the 5 streaks. So there's actually a total of 6 streaks. And then there was an 11-day that went late July to early August, and then a 12-day that went late October to early November. So they had a lot of streaks last year that were in the double digits. Like I said, a total of 6, 5 plus the longest one, the 16 one. And this year we've only had 2 that have gone in double digits, but we had that 18-day one, which was a really long streak. And I went through and looked at how many days each month there have been a mass shooting in that month. Not the number of mass shootings in the month, but just how many days in that month there were. And in January, 21 of 31 days. In February, there were 20 days of 28 days. March had 20 of the 31 days. April had 25 of the 30 days. And May had 24 of 31 days. So in April, only 5 days didn't have a mass shooting. And we're right now sitting on 4 days that we haven't had one in June this year. That could actually beat the 25 days in April. And so those on a percentage basis, 83% of the days in April had a mass shooting. 83% of the days. Like all but 5 days in the whole month. And I did the math on for the year where we're at on how many days have had a mass shooting. And we've had 110, and this just goes through May. I didn't include June in this. But we had 110 of the 151 days from January to the end of May. That's 73% of all the days so far this year, excluding June, have had a mass shooting. 73%. So 3 out of every 4 days has a mass shooting. That's a lot. And I didn't look, this isn't something that I looked into last year, so I can't really do a comparison test on it for last year to see if we're doing better or worse, but we're already doing worse. I mean, we're already, when we hit that, the 325 mark on June 24th that I was talking about earlier, where I was off by a day. I thought for sure it would hit on the 22nd or 23rd. But last year we didn't hit that till July 8th. So that's 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks ahead of pace from last year. And last year we had 646 mass shootings. And in 2021, our record-breaking year with the 690 mass shootings, we didn't hit the 325 mark till July 3rd. So we're looking at 9 days that we're ahead of last year's record-breaking, or the 2021 record-breaking pace. We're over a week ahead of that. And like I said, we've only had 4 days so far in June that haven't had one. And this is the 25th that I'm doing this on Monday. I think it's the 25th. And we have had one every single day, except those 4, which doesn't look good. So this is the kind of stuff I'm going to try and put out there for you guys, like just different information on the mass shootings that isn't just a number like, oh, we're up to number 325, or oh, we're up to this or that. I'm going to try and find different interesting things about them and find different ways to look at these so we can just see really like where we're at with these and where we're headed, basically. Because right now this year, it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. If I would have done the research back to really get a bunch of numbers from last year, I think we would be significantly higher than last year on a lot of these different statistics. I mean, we've already beaten their record streak by 2 days. And I would go as far as we might even hit a month where we have one every single month this year. That's how bad this stuff is getting. And it's mainly because, I mean, Chicago's not pulling their weight. Chicago is not putting up the big numbers like they have in the past. And this is smaller towns that are pulling the bulk of the weight on these things. And that just tells me that, you know, having an entire month go every single day with one mass shooting, it's not out of reach. It's not out of reach at all. So the over-under still set at 700, and I'm still taking the over.